Why is the sea salty? An old legend. Once upon a time, many hundreds years ago, a poor man called Hans was trudging home through the huge dark forest with trees as tall as houses on his back. It was nearly night. There was thick snow and wind rattled the branches. Hans's feet were cold in his thin shoes, but it was nearly Christmas, and he was carrying a wonderful ham which his rich brother had given him. The rich brother was mean and greedy, though. He wore the most expensive clothes, ate the most expensive food, and slept in the most expensive bed that anyone had ever seen. He only gave Hans a present once a year. Deep in the thickest, darkest, coldest, deepest part of the forest, just when Hans's feet were so cold and tired that he thought they might drop off, Hans met an old man with a long white beard. Who is he? There was something most odd about the man. He seemed to appear from nowhere. Also, his shoes were thin, but he didn't seem to notice the cold. The old man said, "Good evening, sir," to Hans. "What a wonderful ham that is!" "It's a present from my rich brother." "If your brother is so rich, why are you so poor?" Good question. "Well, I suppose because my brother is not at all kind. He and his wife are so greedy you would hardly believe it." "Listen, sir," the old man said. "I like to help people who are poor and good like you. Take the ham to the dwarfs who live below this tree, but don't sell it for money. Tell them you want the old salt grinder that they keep near their fire." "But I don't want an old salt grinder. Why on earth would I?" "Trust me, sir. I will tell you when you come back." Hans went under the tree. When he was gone, the old man did cartwheels and handstands and pulled 4 rabbits out of his hat. Who is he? Hans is back. "I got the salt grinder. Very scruffy, very old. So what am I to do now?" "Just ask for anything you want," the old man said. "But to stop it, say, 'Grind not my mill, grind not my mill, grind not my mill.' Yes, 3 times. And Happy Christmas!" He disappeared. Where is he? Who is he? Hans ran back home, very excited to find out what the salt grinder could do. For years, he and his wife had been very poor. They worked very hard and always did their best, but it was difficult to make ends meet. As soon as he got home, he gave his wife a kiss and proudly put the grinder on the table. His wife looked rather puzzled. "A salt grinder?" she asked. How lovely, my dear." She was a kind woman who never complained about anything, and she just wanted to be nice. Hans couldn't wait any longer. He said loudly, "Now, little salt grinder, grind me a delicious supper." And immediately the table was covered with the most wonderful food: a roast chicken, golden potatoes, rich, thick gravy, and delicious tiny peas with butter. His wife couldn't believe it and gasped in delight. that Christmas was the best they ever had. Everything they asked, the grinder would make for them. A beautiful tree hanging with silver bells, a huge turkey big enough for 20 people, and presents for all their friends and everyone in the village. Everyone saw that Hans and his wife were no longer poor. Hans was kind and gave people everything they needed. Life started being so good for that little village. But Hans's brother has found out. He has heard about that salt grinder. And we know he was mean, he was jealous, he was a greedy man. Although he was rich, he wanted even more. The greedy brother one day visited Hans. Hans, of course, gave him a wonderful meal, and his wife said he must stay as long as he wanted. But Hans's brother was not there for a friendly visit. In the night, he stole the salt grinder and ran away. The brother went to his ship and sailed out to sea. He had a plan to become even richer. Salt was very valuable in those days, and he planned to tell the grinder to grind enough salt to fill 50,000 sacks. Then he could sell the salt and be even richer than he was. He wanted to become the richest man in the world. "Now, little salt grinder, grind me more salt," he shouted. And sure enough, the grinder began to grind and grind and grind. Soon all 50,000 sacks were full. "Stop grinding now," shouted the brother. But the grinder did not stop. He shouted again, "Stop, you stupid grinder!" But these were the wrong words. The grinder carried on and on and on. Soon there was so much salt that the ship sank and the greedy brother drowned. Still, even to date, the grinder carries on grinding salt, and it is still grinding and grinding and grinding because no one knows the right words. And that is why the sea is salty, according to this legend.